People, today we are DIYing with my favorite things to create projects from Dollar Tree, pallets. And one of these DIYs, I'm going to show you how you can redo it in several different ways. To start this wall hanging decor piece, we're going to need 2 of the larger pallets and some paint sticks. You can pick these up from Home Depot. They sell a variety of packs of paint sticks for $1.48. And while you're there, grab yourself a piece of trim for $2.68. Now, they're not all $2.68, but I try to stay on that end because it's been my experience that I can use one of these pieces on just one palette project. We're going to need 2 paint sticks, and I want this to be white. So I'm taking some water, just a little bit, as you can see in this bowl, and we're going to take some matte acrylic paint. We're going to put about a half a tablespoon of that paint into our water and mix this sucker on up. And in case you're like, Brandi, why are we doing this? Listen, I've painted like 100 pallets at this point, and one of my favorite ways is to dunk them in a cake tin with tinted water and let them set, or spray paint them. It just gets in all the cracks. And at the moment, I don't have any of the little cake tins, and it was too cold to spray paint. So this was just the quickest way for me to get this done. You do you. Once these are dry, we're going to flip them on our back and cut out 2 little slivers of popsicle stick. We're going to be able to put these in between the 2 pallets where they're connected and use our wood glue and some hot glue to attach them, ensuring that these are going to stay together. Now, we're also going to put our trim on the front, so these are not going to go anywhere, but this is just an extra step just to make sure. I also appreciate the fact that you cannot see the popsicle sticks between the gaps in the palette, and it just makes for a really nice finish. If you're selling these pieces, I like to make sure that the pieces are painted. It looks as nice as it can be in the back. And I try to cover up anything extra with like some brown paper. Here comes the fun part. We're going to trim down our trim using our miter shears. And today we're not giving the miter shears an introduction, people, okay? I actually just forgot to do it. Some filming. I forgot about the miter shears. Forgive me. Make sure you're adjusting these miter shears to the 45-degree angle. And we're going to want to cut from the top corner. That top corner should be in the corners of each one of your pallets, just like this. So it fits perfectly in there. And then you just cut as you go. People, cut as you go. Measure, cut, and it should look like this, okay? It's not glued on there yet, but I like to make sure all the pieces fit, and then I attach them one by one using wood glue and some hot glue. And the reason I like to do this is because hot glue is a little manipulable when you first lay it down. So you can leave the pieces on there just like I left the other 3, and then take the one you're gluing down and measure it right back up into place to where you had it. You can move the wood glue just a little bit. Once you have it in the exact spot that you want, you then press that sucker on down to get that nice tight seal with the hot glue, and then you're going to have that long hold because you put the wood glue on there as well. This little tip just really allows you some freedom to be able to hold in your trim places and then make sure that you're measuring them up exactly right as you're putting them back on here. And people, you can do this for large scale projects as well. The larger the project though, I do recommend you bring in a nail gun or, you know, something with nails or staples. Bring in the stapler, you know what I mean? Just to give that extra hold. But for this small wall decor piece, this will be just fine. So we need to make these 2 painter sticks look like they're a larger palette. And to do that, we're going to just cut a popsicle stick in half. Make sure it's painted white, obviously. And then attach it to the middle of the painter sticks on the back with some wood glue and some hot glue. Normally, I would cut the ends of the painter sticks off because I think they look tacky. I hate being able to see them, but we're going to cover them up with florals in the end, so we just are keeping them here. And now we're going to bring in the stapler. I know you guys missed the stapler. Here it is. Here it is. I found it. I found it. It's really been lost. I found it. Okay, I found it. Anyhow, we're going to staple these on here. Do be mindful because they might pop through We're going to decoupage over this, so you're not even going to see that or be able to feel the little pops that did come out. And now it's time to bring in our Dollar Tree calendar. I'm so excited to use this. I've not done one of these in a long time, and I really just loved this little calendar right here. I was excited to think this one up because I was trying to give you guys different ideas other than a pizza pan or a piece of wood to put these on. I'm going to be using DecoArt's decoupage in the matte for our medium for this. And since this is a thin paper, you can really use any medium you want for this. You're going to basically yield the same results. As you can see, I'm pretty much leaving the white background on here as well for the most part. Instead of me trying to take a paint color and blend it into our white, we're going to actually take the background of the white that is on the calendar and blend it into our palettes. So I want to keep as much of the paper on the calendar as possible, and I am then going to only around like where the words are or where the graphics are, I'm going to tear. For application purposes, because this is thin paper, I'm still kind of going with less is more and step by step. If you do see a couple bubbles like right here, you can take your sponge and just kind of scrub that one out. It's minimal. You will see some wrinkling. You can also take a little pen and pop it and kind of push it if you want. It's not necessary. For the most part, you do the less is more and you go step by step. You're going to have really minimal wrinkles with this. And because we're not dealing with a napkin here, go right ahead over it and give it a little seal at the same time. You're not going to hurt the paper. It's not as porous as the napkin. You don't have to worry about it ripping from the top. You know what I'm saying? You can use whatever little designs you want to put on your very top of your, the larger palette that we're creating here. And then I'm using the whole words at the bottom and just kind of doing the whole little words of a sentence. Am I describing that correctly? Listen, you put them next to each other, just pick a way, and then you curve them and rip them around where they're going to meet. So it's not a straight line, but then you keep the one side straight. So you tuck it under the palette. I'm sorry. Okay. That's the best way I can describe this. Basically, the side that's going under the trim, you keep that straight. Nobody's going to see it. The side that's going to meet in the middle, you're going to curve that because it's just going to blend better if you tear that on the edge because we're going to go over with paint. Okay, once it's dry, come in with your sander and sand all the edges so this way all the extra bits are completely gone. These are the two colors along with the white that we painted the palettes originally that I'm going to use to blend the background of the calendar into our palettes. And I'm just going to kind of smoosh them together until I get a color I like. You guys can do the same, you know what I mean? Judge it accordingly. And I'm taking a popsicle stick to draw lines. So I wanted to show you kind of see how you're just kind of going over the lines that are already in the calendar, and then you're carrying them to continue out throughout the entire piece of wood. So this way you can't tell where. Now, of course, on the top, I left the paper on the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to see a whole variation, but we got to make it match. So we're just going all the way, starting at the top, working our way down. And then I switch between the white and our little, drawing the line across. And I also went between making different mixes of the gray and the black. So this way it just kind of all blended in together. And I even padded out some little gray areas in between where the black and the white were. Just this way, everything looked completely cohesive and you could not tell where the calendar ended and the palette started. If this is interesting you and you like the idea of decoupage, I have a playlist I will link down below. I have a ton of decoupage information. It's one of my favorite things to do. And people, there's no right or wrong way with this. Kind of just be artsy fartsy with it and put your lines where you think they make sense and add as much white where you think they make sense. Don't be afraid to go over the calendar. Do you know what I mean? Blend until you're happy with your blend and then move on to the next step. And I mean that with anything you're decoupaging like this. It doesn't have to just be that. Blend until you're happy with the blend. For this next part, you can use whatever method of attaching these two pieces together you would like. You know what I'm saying? This is not the end all be all. I'm taking some Hobby Lobby metal lace and I'm just cutting them to about 4 to 5 inches. This way I have one on each side, and I'm going to attach both pieces using some staples and some tacky glue. Honestly, you could use nautical rope, twine, regular ribbon, all of those would work just as well. And in case you're like, Brandi, why are you just now painting the trim? Because I was not sure what color I wanted to paint it when I got started. I realized as I was going, I was like, oh, we're gonna paint this black. And I decided to go around the top of the painter stick so it matched as well. Now we're gonna bring in our stapler. We're gonna use this joint to attach our little hanger, which I'm just taking some beads and threading with, you know, some twine. And I painted the beads black, and they are the square ones from Dollar Tree. And to attach our florals on the front, so I know they're not going nowhere, I'm using tacky glue and more staples. So I am applying a nice healthy layer of tacky glue, and then I go over the pieces as I put them down, staple them down, and then I'm also adding tacky glue onto the backs and adding little pieces of brown paper just to kind of conceal anything so it looks nice. And lastly, we're attaching our little metal pieces, again using some of that tacky glue and some staples. For this one, you're going to need one pallet, and that's it. And really, honestly, you're going to need half of one pallet. And you're going to need a house. Honestly, any house that this will fit into, but I happen to have a Dollar Tree house. And we're going to leave it just like this because I really like the colors in the back of it. So I'm just kind of leaving it like that and leaving it neutral. And I'm going to glue this half pallet right onto the front. But first, we're going to take one of these sawtooth hammer and hangers, and we're going to put it right in the top. I missed. Surprisingly enough, I cannot believe that don't happen to me more, but it really doesn't. Which is one of the reasons I love them suckers so much, because they're so easy to attach to everything. I'm using some wood glue and hot glue here just to put on the edges of the pallet, and they fit right in this house perfectly. So I'm just gonna rest it right here to attach this on here. Next, we're gonna bring in our drill bit, and that's just for us to get a little hole started. Don't go too far in here because we need to attach our cup hangers, and these suckers can be difficult to attach, especially for those of you that have hand grip issues or strength issues. And if that is the case, I could not find my pliers. Take a pair of needle nose pliers. This was the best I had right next to me, and I wung it, you know what I mean? But you use needle nose pliers, it'll twist them suckers on in there really good. And we're finishing this off by adding a couple little Dollar Tree transfers, and I'm putting ones that make sense if like you're going out the door, because in my mind this is a little key holder, you know what I'm saying? So these little words kind of just make sense for me. Really love how this piece turned out. Super simple to recreate, and it looks amazing. For this little plant holder, we're going to need 4 of the small pallets from Dollar Tree and some paint sticks. You can pick this pack up at Home Depot. These are $1.48 and you're getting 30 of them. So that's a pretty good deal to me. I just painted this all white, and I did it off camera to save y'all time. You see me paint the first project white. You guys know how to paint things. I'm sorry. I love y'all. I'm just messing with y'all. Paint it white, paint it whatever color you want, okay? To attach each one of these pieces, we're going to use wood glue and hot glue. And as you can see here, I was like, oh, this is not going to satisfy me as I'm trying to make this. So I brought in the stapler to save the day. So I put a staple or two, you know what I mean, at the bottom to ensure that this sucker was not going anywhere. We are going to add popsicle sticks at the bottom of it too for our little base, but you know, just I feel fuzzy inside doing it like this. I have actually recreated this today for you. I have made this exact DIY almost exactly before as a fall decor piece. Today, I wanted to give you the idea to be able to use this in many different ways, because this is such, I think people sleep on the pallets and I need to stop that. Okay. Stop sleeping on Dollar Tree pallets. So I need to give you ideas and inspiration. And that's what I'm trying to do here with this little piece. I am going over and touching up the white. I just wanted you to see that, because again, this is why I like to use my two favorite methods to do the pallets, because you will have to go touch these up. I cut the popsicle sticks to size to put on the bottom. So this, you could use a solid piece of wood here if you wanted to. I'm just using the popsicle sticks. And we're going to use more hot glue and wood glue to attach these pieces. And then we're going to staple them on down, because these suckers were wobbly. I was like, these popsicle sticks are not made of the best quality. I have a problem with how wiggly they are. So staples it is. And next, I'm attaching our little snowmen. These are from Dollar Tree as our feet. We're going to put some wood glue on here and then we're going to attach it. This is the moment that I realized I cut the popsicle sticks wrong. So I just kind of, I came back in with the shears and trimmed it up. Sometimes your measurements are off. It happens, okay? Off camera, I then attached these with some wood glue and I let this dry for about 30 minutes. You let it dry for an hour or more. I had to hurry this up because I'm filming for you. You know what I mean? I'm trying to get this done. And then I took some white paint and went over everything so it all matched. And here is the first idea. Nice, simple, and really goes with anything. You could put a little glass vase in here, or you could just put florals in here with some fairy lights like I did. And if you want to kick it up a notch, take some of Dollar Tree's metal lace and wrap it around here and attach it. This will give it another look, or you can take some ribbon. Your color choice is completely up to you. And make sure your florals match with it. It just gives it a whole nother look. I love all these ideas, but people, I couldn't stop here. Oh no, we're gonna bust out the clay and my favorite mold. This is my favorite clay, and the reason is it's super easy to work with. I struggle with grip issues and I don't have to do a lot of pushing and prying. I do have clay tools that I use as well to help me get in the little cracks, and you can just kind of press them down to make sure that your clay is nice and flat. And people, I am so sorry. I do forget to mention all the time that I have an Amazon store. The link is down in the description box. I also have a website. The link is down in the description box. A lot of the things you see me use or even create are on my website. You can pick them up from there or in the Amazon store. I'm always asked these questions and I forget to plug that stuff very often because I'm just so busy trying to bring y'all content you enjoy. Please forgive me. I do not mean to forget any of that. And here, all I'm doing is taking some tacky glue and attaching this burlap strip that I frayed and putting on our little clay mold right to the front with some wood glue. I let this dry overnight and then came back in and painted it white. And then took some of Dixie Belle's gilding wax. If you do not have this, some silver glittery paint would work fine as well. Just make sure you have dried it off on your finger and apply it. It really makes everything just kind of pop. People, as always, thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. You know, I appreciate you so very much. I hope you guys enjoyed these palette DIYs. Let me know in the description box if you want to see more. And until next time, bye!